welcome to episode 28 of the Julie the Knitter podcast. This is a podcast mainly about knitting and whatever other crafty stuff I happen to be getting into during my week, during my time. I'm coming to you live from Queens, New York, where I live with my handsome husband, my two crazy kids, and my wild beast of a dog who is currently running around. Hi, how are you? It's been a little bit. May is a crazy month in our family. Between birthdays and anniversaries, and there was Easter, there was spring break, there was communions, and there's just always so much going on. So here I am at the end of May. It is Memorial Day weekend here in the States, so if you celebrate, if you have served, thank you. And if you haven't, well, thank you for being here and watching. Go thank a veteran today. Here we are. So, just because I haven't been here in our YouTube channel, I still have been working on plenty. I have a finished object to show you guys today. It is a finished object that you guys haven't even seen here on the podcast because it's been so a while, and also because these just whipped up so quickly. So I needed, well, I'll get into the reason why I cast these on number one. Well, I get to do it right now. So I was working on my Ixchel sweater, and I got up to the sleeves, and I had to take a little bit of a break, and I needed a little bit of something quick and easy, you know. So I cast on a pair of socks, and I had this gorgeous self-striping yarn from Scrumptious Purl in her Boho Blush colorway, and it's got these. It's a really light gray, light purple, a cream, a light pink, this golden color, and then a light purple. And it's a gorgeous striping sequence. I just did a vanilla pair of socks with my standard 2x2 rib, stockinette leg till it looks right, my heel flap and gusset, and my foot with a wedge toe. So I have one sock, two socks. The ends are woven in, they've been blocked, and they are good and ready for cooler weather to return, because it is getting to the time of year. Well, today is this weekend, I should say, is the unofficial start of summer. We've been having, this week actually it's been kind of nice, but we have had some pretty cool, very rainy, very damp weather the last few weeks, and I'm happy to see the sunshine out, and I'm happy to be seeing some warmer temperatures, to be honest. So these will be nice and ready come the fall, and I'm looking forward to them. This, I mentioned, is a yarn by Scrumptious Purl. It is in her BFL base, so it's 80% superwash BFL with 20% nylon in her Boho Blush colorway. This is her tag. I enjoy BFL. It's not quite as soft as a merino sock, but it's got like a hard feel to it, a little bit more hard wearing, and I like it. It feels slightly more rustic, if you will, if that word resonates with you. But the colorway was so nice. I actually cast these on right Easter weekend, so it felt like such an Eastery color to me too when I was knitting them up. So it was nice to have some springtime colors on the needles. And, you know, I love a good vanilla sock. They're always, it's nice to have them in my bag, because, you know, I always have knitting with me, and sometimes you have stuff you have certain projects on the needles that are more travel friendly than others, and I had gone upstate for the weekend. That's when I started these. I went upstate a few days before Easter, and I stayed with my parents, and like I said, I'm working on my Ixchel sweater, and it was just got to the point where it's not, I didn't think I'd have the concentration while I was up there to be able to work on it, so I didn't bring it with me. But I brought those up and I cast them on, and they were nice to have because the mountain air up there, I'm sorry, I don't know if you hear that siren, there's a lot of sirens around here today. The mountain air up there always knocks me the heck out. I go up there and I am ready to be asleep by 8 o'clock. Sometimes it's like a struggle just to make it to 8 o'clock. And plus, you know, we're doing a lot of stuff outside, and the kids want to run around, and there's a little creek there, and we're exploring, and there's always stuff to be done out there. Hi, Saoirse. I just gave her a treat and she's coming to say thank you. Okay, down you go. Go lay down. Go lay down. Okay. So those are my vanilla socks, my latest version of the vanilla socks. And like I said, I had been working on my Ixchel sweater, so I'll jump right into that. And this is a sweater by Catherine Clark. It was in issue 26 of the Pom Pom Quarterly publication. I don't know whether I should call it a magazine or a book. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Pom Pom Quarterly, issue 26. And it is this gorgeous pullover sweater that features phases of the moon. Let's see, I'll hold it up closer so you can see. And it's just color work all over, from top to bottom. And this really is the first time that I had done a sweater with quite so much color work in it. So I've been kind of pushing. I really like the sweater, but I was nervous about casting something on like that for a while. I know you probably remember that I've been working on the dude sweater, the Knitter's Dude, for my husband for a long time. And while it did feature color work, one, it was a cardigan, so like you wear it open, you wear it closed, fit isn't quite so important. And two, it wasn't, there were sections that were color work. It wasn't completely all around, and it was different. This Ixchel sweater was a much more intimidating project in my mind to cast on. So I kind of put it off for a little while. And I did eventually cast it on in some gorgeous yarn by Sweet Sparrow Knits. I always confuse it because her podcast, Julie's podcast, is Sweet Sparrow Knits, but her yarn is Sweet Sparrow Yarns. This is her label. I am using her MCN base, which is the Gosling base. It's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And I am doing, my main color, this purple color, is her Joanie colorway. It's like a light lavender or a lilac color. And this golden yellow is her Butterbeer colorway. And the last time I saw you guys, let me turn this around so you can see where we were, I was down here. I had most of this last section to go, plus the ribbing on the body. Now as you see, I finished the body. I have finished the first sleeve, and I am nearly finished with the last sleeve. I have about 9 rows to go before I before I start the ribbing. The sleeves also have, you know, some detail going along the center of the sleeve. That's really nice. I've really been enjoying working on the sweater. It is so nice. I did try it on before I started the sleeves. And, well, one, because I was curious to see how it fit. Because like I mentioned before, I cast on a size. I'm in between 2 sizes. So since this is a stranded project, there's not much give. Get down, Saoirse. There's not much give. So, you know, it's going to be fairly fitted. The project recommends that the pattern, I should say, recommends like 0 to 2 inches of ease, positive ease, which means positive ease is when it's a little bit bigger than your actual measurements. So I sized up since I was right in between 2 measurements. It was like 36 and 38 or something, and then I'm 37. So I kind of went to 38, or whatever the size is. So there's that. So I was kind of interested to see how it fit. I did notice that up here in the shoulders, it kind of bunched a little bit. And I think that's just the way the yoke, the color work, once it starts, kind of pulls in. I think maybe I'll have to tweak that a little bit when I'm blocking and see what I can do. Otherwise, it fit really nicely. I really like the color. This is the front that's facing you. The back is exactly the same. The neck band just comes up a little bit higher. There's some short row shaping here. And there's not really much waist shaping, which I prefer a little bit of waist shaping in a sweater. only because I do have a little bit of curvier figure, and I do find that boxy stuff doesn't, I don't necessarily like the way the fit looks on me. I like a little bit of shaping. So I'm just about done with that sleeve. So I could probably have that sleeve done either by tonight or tomorrow, no problem. And I can weave in the ends and block it, and it's done. I'm pretty excited about that. This sweater has been such a joy to knit. It really, you have to pay attention. There's a lot of charts. There's a lot of charts, and sometimes you're doing them at the same time. So you use your markers if you do plan on casting this on. Make sure you do your markers to separate, you know, where this chart starts and this chart ends. Make sure in your pattern you highlight the sections so they at the same time, because you know sometimes like in the sleeves you're doing this chart, but at the same time you're decreasing so many rows. And I get a highlighter every time I start a pattern, highlight my size and all the numbers for my size and all the at the same times and if this then that, all that stuff. I have to mark it off, otherwise I miss it. Now I did, as I mentioned earlier, put this on a slight hiatus when I cast on the sleeves. I normally will knit my sleeves, obviously in the round, but I usually do them with a circular needle, and I do the magic loop method. Now, I like wooden needles, and most of my needles are like the what's the brand? Lantern Moon. So I use Lantern Moon needles, and I found that the cord was a little too stiff, and I was using a 40-inch cord because that's what I had, and it just was not gelling. The cord was a little bit too stiff, so I felt like the stitches were stretching too much, and it just wasn't enjoyable. So I kind of put it down, and I'm like, all right, you know, this really needs to be done on DPNs. So I went through all my needles, and I'm looking for DPNs, and of course I don't have a size 4 DPNs. A set of them, rather. So I ordered a pair, and I have been wanting to try I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. I'm sorry if it's not right. Lyka needles, Lykke, and they are from a Scandinavian country. I think that's where the brand comes from. Lyka. I don't know. I want to say Swedish, but I don't think that's correct. But they are driftwood wooden needles, and they actually, I have one in here because I got to a point in my decreases where I was I didn't need quite so many needles, so I'll take one here. So they've got a nice point to them. They're, you know, they're wooden needles. This is a size 4. It's not focusing on it, sorry. Size 4 for those Europeans among us, it is a 3.5 millimeter needle. So they're very lightweight. They've got a good point. I wouldn't, I prefer, if I were to use like a lace weight yarn, I would probably go for something with more of a point, a slightly sharper point, if that makes sense. But for what I'm doing, they are great. They've got just the right amount of drag for this yarn. Wooden needles tend to have, metal needles are a little more slick, so yarn slips and slides a little bit more. So if you're using a slippery yarn, like something with silk content, or I find cashmere can be a little slippery too, you may be better off with a wooden needle. There's a little bit more friction. So these I found had the perfect amount of drag for this yarn. It kind of held it all in place, but it wasn't really interfering with what I was doing. I didn't find it distracting. Moving down to DPNs was definitely the right call for these sleeves, and they've just been knitting up like a dream. I mean, nobody likes being stuck on Sleeve Island. I actually would love to know if somebody actually does enjoy Sleeve Island, because I might say, hey, why don't you come help me out with the sleeves? But to be honest, these sleeves knit up pretty quickly. I think I started this well, maybe I've been working on this second sleeve for about a week. But I feel like I haven't been knitting quite as much as I normally would. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast, it's been that long. I started a new job, and while it's the same kind of field, I'm still working in clinical research, which I love working in clinical research. I'm working in mental health research, which I haven't worked with mental health stuff in a while. That's what my degree is in, that's what my background's in. So it's kind of like relearning a lot of things and then learning new research protocols, and I'm kind of working in research from a different perspective than I was before, so it's learning a lot of different processes. And so it's really, I find it mentally exhausting by the time I get home. While as much as I'm loving it, I just feel exhausted. I feel like I haven't even been able to stay up till, if I make it to 8:30 most nights, it's a miracle. I'm usually falling asleep on the couch waiting for the kids' bedtime, which is horrible because, you know, I get home, I like to spend as much time as I can with the kids before they go to bed. But it's just, I've barely been able to make it for the last few weeks. So, but I know it's once I really get the hang of this new job, it won't be as bad, I don't think. It's just, you know, it's just learning. Learning is great, and it's learning a lot of new things, and I'm really loving it. So there's that. But I usually, after I drop my daughter off at school, I usually do have some time in the morning between dropping her off and the time I have to be in. So I usually knit a few rows in my car. So I have to say, these sleeves have been knitting up fairly quickly. I have finished all the color work that needs to be done in the sleeve. And like I said, I just have, where am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows to go before I start the ribbing, and I just have a few inches of ribbing, and then we are done with this sweater. This might be one of the fastest adult-sized sweaters I've ever knit, which is surprising. Well, maybe not. Does anybody else notice that when you knit color work projects, they tend to fly off the needles? Maybe it's just the way the rows, every row is different. It's not really the same thing each row, and it kind of keeps it fresh, I guess. You don't get bored as quickly. I don't know what it is. It's flown off my needles. I cast this on in February. Now, I know you're saying, oh, that's a few months, but the grand scheme, I mean, it took me 9 months to knit my husband's sweater. When I think the last sweater I knit for myself, it had to take me at least a year. But I was working on other things at the same time, and did I fall out of love with that project? I can't remember. It sat for a while. It was sat in hibernation for a little bit. Maybe because I didn't want to pick up the stitches on the lace paneling. I don't like picking up stitches. Sorry. So that's that. I am really looking forward to casting this off. Not that I have been not enjoying it, because I have, but just because it is such a gorgeous sweater, and in time for summer. I don't know what my rush is to get it off the needles. I'm just happy. I'm just happy and enjoying it so much that I just want to keep working on it. For the most part, aside from these vanilla socks, I have been fairly monogamous with this sweater. I haven't really been working on much else at the same time, and it's really just been an enjoyable knit. I look forward to working on it every day. And see, that's all I have left to do. A little more than 3 inches. So that's that. I have some ideas for my next few projects, but my next immediate cast on, I guess you could say, I'm trying to think of what would be the proper wording. I'm going to be doing another test knit for Lyndsey Fowler, who is Lost and Fawned on Instagram and Ravelry. If you recall, I did a test knit for her recently. They're the blue socks. The name of them is gone. It's not coming to me. Sorry. But you guys, if you go back like 2 episodes, you've got episodes and episodes and episodes of it. I was working on them. I felt like I was working on them for a while. But I will be working on her new pattern coming up, which are the Wandering Lost socks. This pattern is not out yet, but I just got the okay to be a test knitter on it the other day, and I will be knitting it up out of this gorgeous yarn by So Happy Jane. So Happy Jane. And this is her All-American sock base, and it's this nice light blue color. It is a superwash merino nylon 80/20 in her Wishmaker colorway. So I am really looking forward to casting those on. I will probably be winding up this yarn today, tomorrow, and casting them on fairly soon. I am looking forward to that. You know, as I'm looking at this color, I'm thinking, do you ever notice how your tastes in yarn color choices, the colors that you gravitate towards, changes over time? I find in this past year that I've really been moving more towards softer colors. Like, I guess, not pastels. I'm not much of a pastel person. Occasionally I'll work with something that's a little in the pastel range. But I find that, you know, I normally would go towards like a jewel tone. It's something like a deep saturated color. But I've been finding in the last year, especially, that my color preferences are, you know, going more towards something a little softer. I don't know. I wonder what that means. Not what it means, but, you know, I wonder if there's anything to it. But it's such a nice little blue. And I'm looking forward to working on that pattern. What else? That's about all I've got for you guys today. So I hope you all enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Get some nice knitting on this long weekend. Enjoy some barbecues. Maybe get down to the beach. I could really get into going to the beach, but this weekend they have, excuse me, the air show at Jones Beach, and I've been to it before. It's really cool. I just don't want to deal with all those people. It's just packed. I think I went there, not last year, the year before. I took my son and we went with my parents, and it's a lot of fun. You go and you hang out, you drink a few beers, you barbecue, there's all kinds of stuff up on the boardwalk, and you see the planes, and my son loves the planes. Years and years ago, I used to run off the boardwalk at Jones Beach a lot, and in the, you know, week or two coming up to Memorial Day weekend, well, we usually do the running before Memorial Day weekend because the parking was free, but you'd see the planes practicing, so I always really like doing that. And that's it. That is about all I have for you guys today. So, see ya. Bye.